Q, Assalamu
Yes,
alaikum.
sir. Alaikum salam. Alaikum salam.
Appreciate you coming down to the Habitual Thinker, man. We're
Long
kicking this
time
back
coming.
off, man. And, I'm excited to chop it up with you. Uh, you know, I've known you for a while. I've seen kind of the growth and what you got going on from your business. And we were just kind of chatting a little bit about the real estate,
Hmm.
venture you've been getting into. But yeah, man, I want you to introduce yourself, man. Where you from? And then we'll just kind of jump in and just have a conversation.
Or my name's Qiydaar. I'm originally from Chicago. I know my family from Chicago, Chi-Town natives. I'm gonna always say that. Doesn't matter how
Okay.
long I've lived in Connecticut.
So like you've been to Chicago, you was born there and then
I
came
was
right here,
born there. Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yeah. I think I was still, I was still breastfeeding when we came to Connecticut. Um, well, yeah, we moved to Connecticut when I was about 3. I moved to New Haven when I was 9.
Okay. Old
Um,
city.
yeah. Rosette all the way.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Other than that, man, that's really it, man. That's where everything started. New Haven kind of started this journey, that I'm on.
Okay. So what do you do now, man? I know you work, you've got a couple, entrepreneurial endeavors. Like tell me what you
Yeah.
got going on right now.
So I got a 9 to 5. For me. I'm a medical assistant at the cancer center. I've been doing that since I want to say 2015. Um, I own a security company, Staqs Security. That was kind of like my second security company. We started at Ballistic. I had a business partner. Shout out to Ballistic Security. But yeah, so I'm the only owner of Staqs Security, and I just recently got into real estate with a brother of mine, Ibrahim.
Okay.
So right now I'm juggling all three of those just to kind of break certain things to really like set my family up for something greater than just living, if
I
that
hear
makes
that.
sense. You know what I mean? So, um,
So how'd you get how does this even come to fruition? Like what gave you the thought, like, I want to start a security business. Like I got
nah.
a job and I want to do this. I want to add some more on my
So
plate.
funny thing is, right? So I went to Stone Academy. That's no longer a school anymore, but I went to Stone Academy for a medical assistant.
Hmm.
Um, I spent, I want to say, roughly 3 months after graduation. I
Hmm.
spent 3 months trying to look for a job in the field,
Hmm.
and it's old school, so it's not like now how you go online,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
fill out an application, and then you just call. I
yeah.
was really old school, so I was driving from like a mile past the mall all the way to like North Haven, and then going up to like
With like a paper
Guilford.
resume.
Yeah,
Okay.
I printed out like 100 resumes. I had them in a folder. Um, and I was going to every place that said they hired a medical assistant.
Hmm.
And I gave them a resume, took an application. I had a composition notebook. I wrote down the name, address, manager's name, number, and then every Monday I called every place that I went to.
Okay.
Um, Ended up off of a whim. I ended up going to a temp agency. I was already dressed. So the whole time I'm driving to these places,
Yeah.
again, really old
You
school.
got the
'Cause I
shirt
don't
and
I don't
tie.
yeah, I don't see
Okay.
nobody doing this anymore. So I had a shirt, had a tie on. I'm showing up to these places. Hey, you hiring? Da da da. Whatever. So I went to this temp agency, and luckily for me, I guess they had somebody like call out like 2 days before, and the lady at the temp agency was just like, "Oh, well, we actually got an opening. When can you start?" And I'm like, "I mean, today, if
Yeah, I'm already dressed.
like,
I'm
you
already
feel me? Like,
dressed.
I can start today." And I started. Well, they had me start the very next week, and they apologized to me. They're like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I could only pay you $22 an hour," and I was just like, "Only?" I was
Yeah.
like, I was getting $11 an hour offers before. I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, okay, cool." Um, but at the same time, I was still looking for entry level jobs.
Yeah.
I just had my son. My son was just born. Oh no, my wife was pregnant at the time, so I'm panicking because it's just
Yeah.
like I'm going to school. I wasn't working at the time. My wife was paying like all of our bills, car
Mm.
note, car insurance, phone, groceries.
Yeah.
It was all on her. I think I was making like $80 every 2 weeks or something. Just
Yeah.
whatever. So I was in panic mode, trying to find something. So at the same time that I got hired for the cancer center, I got hired at Toad's place as a bouncer. And it
Gotcha.
kind of like meshed.
The
It was just
legendary
like
toes right here. in New
legendary
Haven.
Toad's place in New
Gotcha.
Haven, man. That's kind of where my security journey kind of kicked off, because I
Okay.
was just like, okay, so now I got 2 jobs. And you know, my dad Mustafa, he kind of ran security for the Muslim community in New Haven.
Mhm.
And a lot of the times he would take me with him just to see
Okay.
how kind of things ran.
So you got a little bit of like a just kind of a
just
background seeing
just
what
a
it looks
little,
like.
because love my dad, man, but it ain't like, you know, he was head of security, but he started off in a really, really rugged way.
Yeah.
And I had to kind of fine tune his teachings
Gotcha.
a little bit, but yeah, that's where it started. So I was working both jobs, and at Toad's place, me and my former business partner. If you ever been to Toad's place, you know they got like the upstairs and they got the downstairs, like the
Mhm.
main area, or
Yep.
whatever.
Yep.
So on college nights, upstairs, what they call a lily pad, we were literally just like thrown to the wolves. It was like, okay, well, Yatu was gonna go upstairs and secure upstairs.
Yeah.
And me and him and like a couple of other people, we kind of like ran it while we was there. And like we ran, like it was really, really structured.
Mhm.
Me and him, like we always had each other back and stuff like that or whatever. After a while, they moved us, like when they had concerts, mainly hip hop concerts.
Yeah.
They moved us to the stage. So you
Mhm.
had, you know, you had stage presence, stage entrance, green room, all of that
Yeah.
other stuff or whatever. My partner became what they call pit boss, which you control the actual stage area or whatever. Um, Long story short, there was a few hip hop celebrities that came in, and they had me at the entrance to the stage.
Gotcha. So you're like the person that's like move out of the way,
Move everybody.
making sure
You're
the
not
celebrity
coming
gets.
in unless you coming through where I'm at.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I was really, really uneducated at the time on who people were. And I've always had the mentality of not caring who you are. So
Now, what do you mean, like from your celebrity side, or maybe
everybody,
everybody?
it
Okay, it
doesn't
didn't
matter.
matter.
So if you came and you said that you was whatever, if whoever was above me didn't tell me,
Yeah, that's where you get your orders from. Everybody else. Yeah.
nobody else matters.
Gotcha.
So unfortunately for a few people, artist managers didn't come with the artist at the time. So I had it was Fabulous at the time. He was doing a show there. His manager came to the pit and he was just like, "Oh, I'm Fabulous manager," and I'm at the door like, "So." You know, I'm like, so like I don't know who you are. Like I'm fine. He like, you could look at me. You know, he looked like a hip hop manager. You know, he had the chain.
Yeah,
he
yeah,
had
yeah.
expensive
He's got the
stuff on.
classic hip hop
Yeah,
manager.
everything
Yeah.
or whatever. And I'm just sitting there like, so it was like, oh, you're not gonna call? I'm not calling nobody. And what's crazy, he like we're going back and forth, and I was just like, bro, you can try to push past me, but it's gonna be ugly for a lot of people. And he was just like, yo, I can make one phone call. And I'm like, do whatever it is that you need to do. Nobody's coming through this area. After that show, he literally was just like, yo, you should try to start your, I like how you work, you should try to start your own business. At the time, I'm like, man, listen, my son was just born.
Yeah.
I need money. I don't know about, you know, I'm working so I can make sure that, you know, I can provide for
I need
my
this right
family.
now.
I need it right now. You talking about like, and I was oblivious to it or whatever. So again, moving forward or fast forward, my partner introduced me to the idea of starting our own security company.
Okay, this is the guy that was your pit boss.
Yeah.
The pit boss.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shout out to Kejan. Yeah. So he approached me with the idea. And again, when I tell you, nobody could tell us anything in Toad's place. I mean, we actually got into like a little scuffle with a couple of Chicago artists when they came. And it was just like
you were actually fighting the artist?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'll get into that story later. But yeah. We was fighting the artist, but like we was tight. We were definitely tight. So when he came to me and he was just like, yo, I got this idea. We should do this, that, and the third. Again, at the time, uneducated, real ignorant. I was just like, all right, bet. But like, you're saying like you could do all of like the administrative, all of this other stuff or whatever. I do security. So I'm just going to work whatever it is that you need. let me know that. So he kind of spearheaded the entrepreneur journey.
Yeah.
And he would like he did everything. Like we was like, I mean, this was a long time ago. So we were like undercutting everybody, saying, "Oh yeah, you hire us, we'll just charge you." Da, da, da,
Yeah,
da.
you were just trying to get your
Man,
foot in
we
the
were trying to
door.
get the foot. We was
Yeah.
doing. I'm telling you, like dirt cheap, damn near free labor type shit.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
when we first started. And then it kind of grew into something to where I started to actually see the vision. Because, like I said, at the very beginning, I was a worker bee. I ain't even gonna lie. Like I was like the top guy. Nah, I was
Yeah.
a worker bee. So like if you set up everything and I was just like, okay, so this is what I need to do. Okay, I need to supervise these people. I need to make sure that my contribution was always structured. You feel me? You give me a group of people that, don't know what they're doing, don't know where to go,
You're
whatever.
gonna put them in place.
I can create the structure from beginning to end. Yeah. So like structure was always my thing. It was always my thing. That's where I thrived at. That's kind of what helped me get to where I am now.
Where do you think that kind of mindset came from? Like, like just being able to have that discipline, because that's not easy. That's probably the toughest part about anybody doing well in any space that they try to enter is having that discipline.
It really is. I'm gonna say it came from my parents.
Shout out to your parents.
Shout out to Umi and Abby, man, for real. Stuff did not click until I left their house. Everything that they were saying about, structure and discipline, when I'm in their house, I'm like, man, whatever. Y'all just want free labor. Y'all just want me to do this.
Because I remember the days y'all was out there working. Y'all was in the yard. Y'all all had assignments.
I'm telling you, but and I was like,
it was like 6 of y'all at the time.
At the time, it was 6. Yeah. My mother had 10 of us.
Jeez.
Yeah, no.
Bless her.
Well, yeah, it definitely started from my parents, and then when I left their house and I got my own apartment, I was like 18, 19, and everything that they were saying started to really click, like how coming home to a clean house means something and it does something.
Yeah.
You feel me? So I had to structure myself. There was nobody on me, nobody telling me. So like I was, I'll go to school, go to work, come home, and my clothes would be everywhere. Then I had dishes in this thing, and I'll be like, "Oh, this is depressing." Like I'm coming home and it looked like trash.
Yep.
I got off of work and I got to come home and work, and I was just like, okay, like I'm starting. Everything's starting.
You starting to understand what they were talking about.
Yeah. So I started to implement the structure within myself, and then I had little brothers and sisters, and it's just like, I'm trying to structure them to help my parents out to make sure that y'all don't have to go through the same thing that we went through, because you shouldn't be 20 something years old just now learning how to discipline yourself when it comes to certain things. But the structure mindset definitely started with my parents alone. But I can't pinpoint where I fine tuned it to where I'm at now. I think over time it just gradually got to the point to where I was just like, okay, I need to make sure this, and I'm very, 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 very disciplined when it comes down to a lot of endeavors that I do with my family. I'm very disciplined. I mean, my kids have regiments for the summer and they have a different regiment for the school year. Like, just setting up the structure. That, like I said, that's where I feel like my niche is.
Gotcha. So yeah, I mean, you can go back to I just kind of went off on a tangent. Go back to like you was telling the story about you're a worker bee, and then you translated that into like, okay, maybe I could look at starting a business.
So when we had started, my mindset wasn't entrepreneurial. My mindset was just like, okay, like we started a business, but I'm just going to focus on the working aspect of it. And everything was up in the air, but when it came down to security, like I said, something just clicked. Like, at the time we would go to Hartford, this like a Jamaican hall in Hartford or whatever, and we would go there, and it was literally like no structure. So the people would just hire us and be like, hey, we need 13 security guards or whatever. And they're just like, okay, so we show up with 13 people. And it's just like, oh, okay. We got to secure this whole spot. And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, okay. And then I'm looking, I'm like, all right, we got 2 exits in the back. We got to exit by the bar, exit over here, we got to search. And like I said, things just start to fall in place. I'm like, all right, we're going to need people here, here, here. We're going to need at least this much stuff for crowd control. If this happens, we need somebody positioned here, blah, blah, blah. That was my job with the company at first. It's just like, okay, we will go, I would set everything up, I would structure everybody, and then it came down to knowing the people that we had. Now, I'm not gonna lie, at the beginning, everybody was a stranger. Like we was literally just like, okay, I seen that you do security, I know you're 6'3", you look like you do security, even though you be knitting covers and stuff. But you just gonna throw a shirt on and just don't talk. Don't
just talk. Be a body.
Just follow me around. Don't talk. Like that's how in the beginning it was. But after a while, it was like, nah. Like I really started to see the vision, and I was like, we have to do something different than a lot of the security teams that we're doing. And I actually had to do research on a lot of other security teams. Like every competitor that I thought I watched them for like weeks, almost months. And
but you would like go to gigs and see and
absolutely. Yeah. I would go to where they were working, or I would go I would just randomly show up, and then I would watch the front door, I would watch the pat downs, and I would go in, I would see how they operate, and then I would see the good, and then I would write down the bad or how we could do something different. And the two main things at the beginning of our journey, the two main things that I realized was, one, uniform. A lot of teams, they put security on a black t-shirt and white writing and give it to somebody. And then that's their part of your team. Or you would hire somebody that did security somewhere. He could bring his own security shirt, and it wouldn't look unified. You feel me? Some people, they do the large font, some do the small font, some people got security on the, whatever the case may be. And I was just like, all right, so if we all look cohesive, it will be different from our competitors. And then it was, again, the structure of the team. How is everybody structured? Did everybody move in the way that they're supposed to move? Do you look cohesive as a unit, or do you just look like a bunch of people, just standing around or whatever? And what I found out is, one, there was at the time, there was about one team who had a logo and uniforms. And I was just like, all right, I like that. I want to be like that. This is actually really, really nice. But then, you start to see they're allowed to do and wear certain things. And I was just like, I don't like that. I don't like the fact that you're wearing a baseball cap, even though it's all black. I don't really like that.
So you pay attention to detail. That's just from hearing you tell
everything matters, especially it doesn't matter what company that you have. When everybody has competitors, you have to outdo your competitors, or you have to do something different than your competitors. And what really got us on the map, I feel what really got me on the map when I started Staqs was the fact that it was uniform and it was really, 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 really structured. It was even now, my guards can't drink out of cups. It doesn't matter what. You can't drink water out of a cup, Red Bull, pint. You cannot drink out of a cup.
Why is that?
Well, if you're driving by, if you're pulling up, and then you see them drinking out of a cup that they allow you to drink in the club, you can get liquor in the club. You feel me? So if the cup, even if, and again, some guards, they don't like it. I love all of y'all. I don't care. If somebody could sit there and take a picture, and even if it's water,
perception
is really difficult to argue what it's not or what it is from a picture. And they go, oh, okay, well,
did something happen where you I got to change that, or was that something you just thought of?
No. So in Bridgeport, my team was working, and what my team don't like is whenever you work, if you have my logo on, good or bad, I'm gonna get a phone call. Good or bad, I'm going to get a phone call. And somebody who also does, he's real business minded. He always pull my coat to things, whatever it is. So years ago, he took a picture and he sent it to me as a joke, and he was just like, "Yo, I didn't know you let your guards, drink. Oh, I can't get in with my knife, but they could get drunk on the job, whatever, right?" So I'm just sitting there like, "What?" And then I'm not knowing that it's a joke, so I'm calling my supervisor.
So, you actually taking it serious?
Yeah, I'm I'm going crazy or whatever. And then he was just like, oh, that was just water. No, he said it was just Red Bull, but they
Yeah.
didn't have any cold ones, so I
Yeah.
put ice in there, and I was just like, dash away the cup. Throw away the cup. Drink hot Red Bull or whatever. Throw away. I don't need. And then I started to implement that, and I was just like, okay,
Yeah.
so I don't want the perception that people are
Mm.
drinking or whatever the case may be. But again, there's a lot of teams who don't pay attention to things like that. I mean,
Yeah. Or they may not make it a priority or care.
It's not. And no, I'm not. No offense to no other security team out there. I've learned a lot from a bunch of other security teams. I respect what I learned and I appreciate whatever education, but these are just things that I saw when I was coming up. And like I said, with the uniforms, like when you wear like regular hats or, so whatever the case may be, it just takes away from the unified look. So I, after a certain amount of time, I was just like, nah, these are going to be the guidelines.
These are the non-negotiables. This is how I run the team.
Mm-hmm.
Either you're with it or you can go somewhere else.
Yeah. And if I give grace periods for certain things, but once my team educates you on what the guidelines are, there's no ifs, ands, or buts.
Yeah.
If
100%.
you feel like you should be able to drink out of a cup, cool. Like the second, third time you do it,
yeah,
you're going.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not even gonna play with it like that.
So I like that. So how do you think that, like, that mindset or that kind of discipline around like just having non-negotiable, how has that affected your business like over time? Like, has it gotten you more gigs or like higher paying gigs? Or
it definitely helped with the growth of my company 100%. When you hear people come to you and you get the good and bad. You hear the people complain about the structure that you're implementing, and some people, they might try to cater to it, but I've always looked at certain complaints as a good thing, because a lot of people, your job isn't to be liked as security. Your job is to keep people safe. And everybody who do security knows, like, sometimes keeping people safe is doing things against what
you could be pissed off, but you're alive.
You're safe. So it definitely helped grow the company a lot, because you hear people say, hey, oh, I respect the fact that you do this, or I like the fact that y'all look nice. There were a time where we were getting contracts solely based off of the fact that everybody had a uniform.
Yeah.
And not just, again, like my uniform. I wish if I could show y'all like my PowerPoint. My uniform consists of everything, even certain equipment that you use. So it's not just.
Give me like a quick rundown of like what.
Okay, so we have polo shirts. I don't really like t-shirts. Like, I like to stay away from the t-shirt aspect, because again, a lot of security teams, they wore just t-shirts.
Yeah.
I think the polo gives you a different professional look.
Yeah.
So that's, you have a polo. You need black cargo pants, not black jeans, not black slacks.
No skinny jeans?
Nah, man, nah.
What about shorts if it's hot?
I allow it for outside events in the summer, but not every outside event.
Okay.
Like Black Wall Street that just happened. Shout out to the Breed and Black Wall Street. It was a dope event. Great event. There was some guards out there literally from like 6:30 a.m. to 8.
You gotta let them breathe a little bit.
So I'm not that crazy. I was like, but the guards that came in at like 3, cargo pants.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? Pool parties that we secure, you're allowed to wear cargo shirts, but it's always cargo.
Yeah.
It's always cargo, pants or shirt. You need tactical boots. Not just Timbs, not just
no black forces.
Black no.
You're not
man, we don't need crash outs like that. But nah. So you need tactical boots. A flashlight is customary. Doesn't matter what day. Like, a flashlight is definitely customary. And then that is the main. That's the main uniform. So if you show up to a shift and you don't have one of those things on, you will get docked. So if you show up and you say, "Oh, I didn't wash my shirt and I needed your," okay, cool. You're gonna get a shirt.
Yeah.
Well, we'll give you a shirt for the night. You're gonna get docked. If you have on jeans and not cargos, even if it's all black, you're gonna get docked. If you have on sneakers and not tactical boots, you're gonna get docked. You don't have your flashlight, you're gonna get docked. Those are just really those are non-negotiable.
Yeah.
Tactical vests, or some, you don't have to wear it. Some of my guards, who carry, they like to wear it.
Yeah.
It definitely gives a different feel to the client to have people in tactical vests on, but that's not, it's not, you're not obligated to do so. And if you do, you have to wear, for my armed guards, if you're carrying, you have to have a level 2 holster or higher. So the only difference between like a regular holster and a level 2 holster is the release mechanism. So just a regular holster, anybody could just, come and grab it out or
Grab it.
whatever.
It has to have some kind of secure.
Yeah,
Where you
it
have to
has
maybe
to
like a
have
flip or something like that.
something,
Got
yes. And so if you're carrying and you don't have a level 2 holster, one, I have a lockbox in my truck, and
Yeah.
I'll make sure that my supervisors have a lockbox in their
Okay.
truck. You can't carry without that level 2 holster. You can't. And you're gonna get down.
Gotcha.
So even though we make you remove it, or we
Yeah.
put it in a lockbox, you still get it down.
Got it. So I like that, man. You run a tight ship. You got a lot of structure. Give me like one like crazy time where like maybe somebody hasn't followed the rules the best way they could, and how that impacted. Maybe a gig or.
Oh man,
I'm sure you got a ton of stories. So
a lot, of course. I mean, I told from last night, but nah. One time I actually had a supervisor. She was my longest employee at the time. Like she came with me from when I had a partner, when me and my partner split. Like she was there. She showed up. She had on leggings and
Leggings.
and
that's
J's.
that's not cargo.
That's not cargos.
Yep, and that's not tactical shoes. Okay, I got it.
Right?
Got it.
She had leggings and J's, and like you're a supervisor, right?
Yeah.
And I wasn't supposed to be there, right? But I showed up.
Sometimes you pop up on gigs. It's
A lot of the time.
Gotcha.
Sometimes, I like park across the street and I'll just see again, the supervisors have to show up 30 minutes before the shift starts because everybody else have to show up 15 minutes before the shift starts. So I would show up 45 minutes before the shift starts to see if my supervisor's on time, just so they can see if the staff is on time.
Yeah.
But so one, I showed up, supervisor was late. Not late for a supervisor, late to the entire shift. So if you started at 9, she showed up at like 9:10.
Oh wow.
She was supposed to be there at 8:30. Right. So she showed up late. She had on leggings. She had on sneakers. And then she came around. She was smiling and stuff until she saw me. And then all of a sudden she had, sob stories. And I'm sitting there like, and again, like I catered to her a lot, which was my fault.
Yeah.
So she thought the sob story was going to work. And I'm sitting there like, okay, I'm listening. Like, oh yeah, I got a flat tire. I didn't eat breakfast, whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there, I said, okay, cool. I said, for the amount that you're going to get docked, you might as well not work. It won't be worth it. So I'm going to give you the option to just go home, or you can work your shift and damn near like get paid like gas money.
Yeah.
Like it's completely up to you. And I had to say this in front of the staff because they need to understand.
Everybody can help be accountable.
Everybody. And what's crazy is there was a bunch of other things that was always wrong, but those were like the main two. But it was just like you're showing up late, blasting music, out of uniform, and like you can't supervise or control or manage the staff if you're going to sit there and show up late. And now again, it's not like this is a regular for her.
Yeah.
But one time is enough from a supervisor. You're not like, once you cross that line, it's just like you can't.
It also undermines like your credibility and your ability to supervise, because it's like, well, do as I say, not as I do.
100%.
Yeah,
100%. And like I said, it makes it difficult to really be cohesive, because once the staff see that their superior is able to do something,
then we can slide.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, oh, and then you hear it, like, oh, well, she did this before and you didn't do that. And they're just like, I don't.
And ultimately, that impacts the safety of your client.
100%.
And that comes back to you.
Now, listen, everything comes back to me. Everything is always my fault. And I like it, though. I like it because, like I said, some clients, and nowadays, they understand what my standard is. So they know if my staff is like doing subpar stuff, they'll call me.
They know that's not how you run. That's not how you run.
Q wouldn't do this, or Q wouldn't allow this, or whatever.
So you have a lot of staff to keep in line and hold them accountable. How do you hold yourself accountable?
Man, it's a learn as you go with me. You feel me? There are some things that I might feel like it's okay. And then I'll have conversations with certain people. I mean, I have conversations with my wife sometimes, and she'll just be like, nah, like, you shouldn't do this because of this. And then
Mhm.
I have to sit down and think about it. Like, I'm not arrogant to the point to where I think I know it. I know I'm going to be learning for the rest of my life. So
Mhm.
I'm really open to learning. It just takes that person who might have that sort of information and say, hey, you might want to do this. I mean,
Yeah.
I've gotten education from somebody who owns a photography company.
Yeah.
But he was just like, hey, even with the contract process, he was like,
Mhm.
hey, you should probably add this into your contract because it covers
Mhm.
this. And then I'm looking, I'm like, man, my contract is airtight.
Yeah, yeah.
I did it myself.
Yeah.
And then something happened to where it wasn't covered, and I was just like, "So what you say I should put?" I was just like, "Oh, okay." So for me to be held, like, holding myself accountable is really just being open to the fact that you can still learn. It doesn't matter what position you hold in
Yeah.
the company. It doesn't matter if you started the company. You still have to be open to learning because it does. Wherever you go, you're gonna be able to learn. Like, you don't
100%.
know everything.
I believe
Um,
that's like the more you learn, the more you realize there's so much more knowledge to attain. There's so much you
man.
don't know, right?
Man, I thought I see if you would have came at me like 10 years ago, I would have thought I knew everything. I'm like,
Yeah.
"Nah, this is straight. Nah, this is what we're gonna do. This is what
Yeah.
everybody
Yeah.
doing." And then, like I said, a few years down the road, man, listen, I ain't know nothing back then.
Yeah. I believe a lot of that comes down to ego, and I've run into that a lot myself, where it's like, I know I got this right. I don't want to hear it. Or when you hear something that contradicts maybe what you believe, it kind of
Mhm.
hurts a little bit. It's like, I'm wrong? No, right?
Yeah.
But you're open yourself up to the opportunity to grow so much more when you're just okay with like, oh, I was wrong. So
Right.
show me what you're talking about.
Right.
Walk me down that path. Your ability to grow and run faster, it just is exponential once you kind of let down that ego of
Right.
like,
Right.
I
I
got
agree.
this because I've gotten whatever so many years of experience and I've done so many things, right? Always
Nah.
being open to hearing another
Nah,
opinion.
it definitely, especially like I said, there's a lot of teams out there, and at the beginning of the journey, I didn't want to I didn't want to listen to somebody else doing security.
Yeah.
You feel me? I was just like, oh man, nah, I'll look at you and you don't got this, and
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
trying to get this. You don't got this, but like I said, shout out to a lot of the people in the security field in Connecticut because they have taught me a lot, and
Yeah.
they have saved countless lives from
Mm.
what they taught me, from things that the minute that I started implementing it, then you see like, okay, well, I wasn't doing this before and I'm doing it now. And it's just like, damn, well, how many times did I jeopardize somebody's safety because of my ignorance when it came
Yeah.
down to certain things? So yeah, definitely, learning.
Yeah.
That's how I hold myself accountable, making sure I ain't even from my staff. I do have segments in my meetings so where it's an open forum. My staff is able to say
Mm.
whatever it is that
That's
they
good.
yeah, and sometimes my staff, they would sit there and be like, "Hey, case in point, I was treating my supervisors different than my staff."
Mm.
And it was visible. You feel me? So the staff would sit there and be like, "Hey, you have," because I have personal relationships with some of my supervisors, like
Mhm.
like outside of
Outside of
the
work.
company.
Yeah, yeah.
I have personal relationships, like they'll come to my house, cook out, fire pit. We would go on vacation, like these are my boys.
Yeah.
And my staff would sit there and be like, "Hey, you tell us this, and our supervisor was able to do this, that, and
Yeah.
the third." My brothers, they work for me sometimes,
Mhm.
and it's the same thing. Like, oh, your brother was able to da da. And I'm sitting there like, so. At the time, I could have been really arrogant with just like it's my company. I can do what I want.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
if I choose to, it's my choice. You just do. But then I was just like, nah, like that's really
That's valid.
I did. They had valid grievances, and I don't want to make anybody feel like one, they're above reproach, and two, like I don't want my staff to feel like I'm not supportive of their grievances.
Yeah.
So I had to be put in place in that aspect where again you could have a staff member tell you this is wrong with what you're doing, and you have to be able to pivot in order to secure the integrity of the company.
Yeah.
And that happens a lot. Like I said, I really do. I love my staff, and my staff is able to definitely keep me in check.
I like that. I like that you don't allow like your personal feelings to like supersede the ability for your company to grow, like your
Right.
personal feelings, like the idea, the whole point, and reason why we got into this, so we can grow this, or
Right,
whatever
right, right,
whatever
right,
your
right.
goal is, and it's in general with business. You have your ideas of where you want to see this go. A lot of times, ego and like personal feelings can block the growth, because it's like that's a little bit about the business doesn't care about your feelings.
Right.
The
Oh, they
business
really don't.
needs this, and this in order for it to be profitable, in order for us to scale, in order for us to grow.
Right.
And like, if you're able to see that, and then like be able to like, oh, when you're in a situation where my ego might be bruised, but I know this is the reason why I got into this. This is the end goal. This is the reason why. I'll take that on the chin, and let's just keep moving. That hurt a little bit. I didn't like the way that sounded, but that's right.
So, yeah, exactly. Yeah, sometimes that I don't do her a little bit. I'll be sitting there like, I was in the trenches with it, but I'll be like, nah, you know what? I'm like, all right, I'm gonna take it, and then I'll process it. And I typically bounce ideas a lot off of my wife and my business partner on different aspects. And me and my wife, we're completely different in a lot of things. So like, I can always count on a different perspective.
Yeah.
So I might be feeling
And a
like
trusted perspective.
absolutely. I go to her before I go to somebody else, and then if she agrees with me, sometimes I get scared, because I'm sitting there like, yo, if you're agreeing with me, then if I'm actually right, I'm going back guns blazing.
Yeah.
You feel me? But if she agrees with me, I kind of I get like a second opinion from security profession, and then if we're all damn near in the same ballpark, then it's just like, all right, so that's how I address it. But yeah, it's I had to learn to be able to do that, because like I said, at the beginning I was really young starting this company. I was in my 20s, and when you're in your 20s, you feel like you're grown.
Everything.
You know everything. So learning to humble myself in certain aspects, even when it comes down to people who aren't in the field that I'm in.
Yeah.
I had to be open to people who have
outside of it.
Business perspective.
Yeah.
They have structural perspective. They have educational perspective. It's not really always about just the field that you're in.
Yeah.
And learning to humble myself, to open myself to that type of education, it has allowed me to propel quickly, like way quicker than expected. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah. I've heard you mention a couple times, like you chat with your wife, you had this conversation with your wife. And people always talk about, like, that's one of the most important decisions you'll make in your adult life, is who you decide to marry and be with, with a partner. How important is that, like, support system at home with your wife been, just for your overall, either growth in the business, entrepreneurial endeavors, work? Like, how important is that?
Man, I'm gonna just go ahead and say it. There is no Staqs security at all if it wasn't for my wife pushing.
Wow.
There isn't. I promise you. Again, like I said before, I don't take risk. You feel me? Especially since I had my daughter. My daughter is like 13 now. I do not take risk. I don't feel comfortable taking a lot of risk, because I have a lot to risk. You feel me? So if this goes wrong, my ability to take care of my family is jeopardized. Backstory: when I was 17, my biggest fear was not being able to take care of my kids. I had no kids, no baby mamas, no prospects,
future kids,
no nothing. You feel me? But at 17, my biggest fear was not being able to do that. So
where'd that come from? Like,
my
why
mother
did you
had
have
10
that?
kids.
Okay.
Right. So now I love my mother. I love my dad. My mother, I have never went without. So I'm not gonna say like, I'm not gonna say we weren't taken care of. I always had food, always had shelter, always had clothes. You feel me? I always had, a space to where, I feel safe and all of that. But growing up in a house with a lot of kids, there are certain experiences that we couldn't do based on just like the income of the house. And, like with 5 kids,
10 kids is a lot, man.
Yo, you can't take 10 kids to Disneyland, unless you're a millionaire. You feel me? Like you just can't.
And you ain't gonna be a millionaire when you come back.
Like, fact. So like, just growing up in a house with a lot of kids, as a child, I just felt like, oh, I want to do a lot of things, but we can't.
Yeah.
Or I want to do this, but we can't.
Yeah.
Even when it came down to, school clothes, it was like, man, of course, I want the freshest stuff. I want,
Yeah.
the expensive stuff. But, my mother and my dad have to provide for 10 of us.
Yeah.
So if you get one person $120 pair of sneakers,
that now turns into
that's an
$1,100,
you feel me? That's a $1,200 line. I'm sitting there like, nah. So as a child, I didn't want whatever kids that I was going to have to ever feel like that.
Got it.
So I'm growing up like, I need to be able to take care of my kids. I need to be able to take care of my kids. Even before I had, I didn't even want kids at 17, but that still was my biggest fear. So when it comes down to taking risk, I'm more so like, nah, like I can work. I know how to work. I can work. Once I get a job, I'm going to work. Physical work. I mean, at 16, 17, I was doing a demo for a construction company. Literally, and I'm putting in the work.
You still in high school at that time?
Yeah, hell yeah. But we raking leaves, shoveling snow, like doing all of that. So that is where I was comfortable at. So taking a risk to, go into business, I was like, man, listen, like that's gonna cost money that I'm trying to save. I'm trying to keep all the money that I make just in case something goes wrong. I still be able to take care of my family. But while I was partnered up with my ex-partner, she would always tell me, "Yo, you could do this yourself."
Yeah.
So when I with my partner, I'm sitting there like, I don't have to. Like, I got a business partner, da da da, and like when you're young and you have a business partner and your ideologies don't align. You get real egotistical. And it's like, nah, like, if we're partners, I'm going to make this decision. No, I'm going to make this decision. Like, we were young and dumb. We cool now. We see each other now. Like, it's all love. It's always been love. I still trust him on my six. Like, if I ever actually really, really need a hand, I know I could call him. And, like, you feel me? So there's no bad blood. But we were young and we were clashing. And my wife kept saying, hey, you could do this yourself. Why don't you do this yourself? Why don't you do this yourself? And I'm like, I wasn't the part of the whole administration.
That wasn't you. I'm the worker bee. He did that.
That's what I'm saying. So I was just like, I doubted myself heavy for years. And then something happened that kind of forced me to kind of take my own route. And that entire time, my wife was just saying like, all right, you know what happened wrong? Let's try to do this differently, do this differently, do this differently, or pay attention to this, da 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 da.
Yeah.
And it was like a fear factor because there was like a whole gap where I think I was only making like damn like $200 a week, just whatever. And I'm like, this just not enough. I still got, I got an apartment, I got bills, I got this. She wasn't fully working at the time because, my son was a baby.
Yep.
But she kept just edging me to like really take this risk and take this risk to where there was a certain point to where I'm just so focused on executing that she was just like, all right, now take a step back. Now look what you've created.
Yeah.
Now look at this. Now you're getting calls rather than calling people for a contract. Now they're coming to you and saying, hey, we would like security for this, instead of me saying, hey, do you need security? Like going on Instagram and seeing all of these flyers and then calling people like I really had to put in all of this work. But if it wasn't for her push and her support, I would have never taken that risk.
That's dope.
Never taken that risk.
That's dope. They say to find success, you got to be comfortable being uncomfortable, right? And so I can imagine, like, I'm the worker guy. I don't deal with like that business side of stuff like that. Has that to be super uncomfortable for you, right?
Man, listen.
Was it worth it?
It was 100% worth it. But I mean, those quiet nights crying on the toilet, having way too much. I'm just sitting there like, yo, listen, man, this car note is how much? And I just spent my whole 9-to-5 check on rent. And how much I gotta make? And I'm like, the scary part is like when you're really putting in the work and then it's not paying.
You don't see that result.
You don't see it.
Right away. Yeah.
Man, listen, man. I'm like I said, I remember there were times where we needed something. And I'm sitting there, I'm looking at my account and I was just like, yo, I got enough money to make sure everybody get peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Yeah.
So you're either gonna choose between eating your sandwich or getting something for the house. I was just like, everybody is saying, "Oh no, we don't need security," or "No, we got this," or "No, we got this." And I'm just like, how am I? And I'm sitting there like, damn, like I feel like a failure. Dad, husband, uh, entrepreneur, everything. It just felt like a failure. And I'm like, damn. But then, you got my wife. And if anybody know my wife, she's from the Jamaican community. She's Jamaican.
Yeah.
She don't care about none of that. She was like, nah, don't worry about that. Nah, just keep going. I'm sitting there like, yo. I was like, I'm not even about to eat tonight. Like, oh, go ahead. No, this is gonna be fun. I'm like,
we fast before, be all right.
I was like, yo, it was a Ramadan 4 times a year in my house. But yeah, definitely. She definitely gave that push. And like I said, if it wasn't for her and a lot of other things going right, there's no Staqs.
Yeah,
there's no Staqs.
So like that's like a tough part that I think a lot of people go through, whether it's an entrepreneurial journey or when they reach some sort of like bump in the road as they're progressing to whatever goal they want to reach. You get to that point where it's like, things ain't going right. How do you keep going? Like in your mind, like what besides your wife, obviously,
Right.
like when you're in your own thoughts, like what keeps you going? What motivated you to keep like following the process, even though the result wasn't there?
Right. So at the beginning of the journey, I forgot who said it, but I tried not to just rely on being motivated to do something. I shifted into I'm obligated to continue regardless. I have
the duty.
Like it's my duty to continue regardless. Like until I'm physically incapable of doing so, I knew that I had to at least keep going through the motions until something that kick off.
Yeah.
Again, like I had a son, I didn't want to let my son or my daughter down by seeing your father quit on something or give up on something, because I can't teach you to be resilient if I'm not resilient.
Yeah.
So outside of my wife, I just had to mentally just tell myself, like, everybody isn't always motivated to go to work.
Yeah.
But you still go to work because you have responsibilities. So I kind of shifted that mentality. Now, my motivation is my staff. I like the fact that I created a platform to where not only me personally can benefit from it, but other staff members are able to feed their family and take care of their daughter. Provide. And that keeps me motivated, because it's like I've always been family oriented. Obviously,
you got our brother.
You have to be. You know what I mean? So like, I look at the people who work for me as my family, and they motivate me to keep going. Because it's like when we have those weeks where okay, maybe only 5 of y'all is gonna work this week, or we only got 5 or 6 slots or whatever, and I have to tell everybody else, you didn't make the cut this week. To me, that like telling them, hey, they didn't make the cut this week, it used to really eat at me. So I used to be like, nah, I need to make sure that I can get more opportunities, so I don't ever have to tell somebody, hey, you're you know what I mean? So now that my staff and my team is my biggest motivation. Awesome. Biggest motivation. It's just like, y'all do a lot for the company. They sacrifice a lot for the company. There's I employ mothers who, if you work in the nightlife, you're taking away time from you're not tucking family, your kids in. You're not there for dinner sometimes, or you're sacrificing a lot. The least I can do is whatever it is that I can do for y'all. And like I said, that 100% keeps me motivated, just to make sure that my team is able to eat, is able to thrive, is able to take care of something. Like even if it's just a bill, if you can pay a bill from Staqs Security, then I
feel like you've done
something.
Love that. Give me one win that you're proud of, and one maybe not loss, but a lesson that you've experienced that you've grown from. You can start either one.
All right, a win. Ooh. I'm proud. I'm actually proud of the system that has been created for my company. And a lot of times, I sit back and alhamdulillah, I appreciate everybody that helped me get here. But I'm at the stage now where my staff is telling me, just sit back. We could handle it. From beginning to end, I do not have to do anything.
That's awesome.
I want and it's really difficult when you create something to not really be hands on.
Yeah.
But I promise the very last meeting that we had, 3 of my supervisors was just like, listen, we don't need you to micromanage.
Yeah.
Let us do our job. And I sat back and I was just sitting there like, not gonna tell me what to do. You feel me? But it was a massive blessing to sit back and just see okay, a lot of people have worked hard. I've worked really hard to build this company, and I can sit back and literally I send one text message, and then from that text message, somebody contacts the client, somebody starts the schedule, somebody implement everything, they make sure they giving out the uniforms or everything.
Just running the playbook.
Everything
you created the playbook, and you've got people that will run it. And it's hard to because I was telling you, I think last week we were talking, it was like you built something and it's very hard to something that was your baby that you created to now walk away, step back enough where you don't got to have your hand in it on a day to day.
Even to this day, my wife don't like it, but even to this day, I don't go to sleep until, so I have this thing to where everybody check in when you get home. Yeah. Everybody. So you text home, got home, whatever the case. I don't go to sleep until everybody checks in. Yeah. So when somebody don't check in, I'm like, yo, what's going on? And then oh, I forgot. I got tired. I'm gonna be whatever. But so I don't. But that's a big one. Like I said, starting in the trenches, I'm part of every aspect. I'm calling people. I'm doing the schedule. I'm working as a supervisor. I'm doing the whole cleanup. I'm going to, the person who make my picking up the uniform, bringing them. I'm running the meetings. I'm doing everything. So just to be able for your staff to recognize that, hey, you're literally doing this because you want to at this moment. You don't have to. That's a big win. A loss that
or a lesson
or a lesson. Actually, I was just talking about it. Marketing and content creating. I hate the fact that I didn't educate myself more prior. Content creating and marketing is very, very huge nowadays. Everybody is on social media. Everybody on an electronic platform, and I'm so old school that I just
you saying old school, man. You younger than me. You talking about you old school.
I ain't want to say it, but
you're way too young to be acting this old.
Nah, but I do. I feel like I do have an old school mentality. So when it came down to educating yourself on, at least social media marketing or content creating, I never paid attention to it. Even though people were telling me, "Oh, you should do this," and and I'm like, all right, whatever. Nah, I kept, I was so arrogant. I'm like, oh, my work gonna speak for myself. People gonna say, whatever.
And
it has to a certain extent.
What else?
Man, I missed a lot of opportunities because of mismarketing. And like I said, it showed when I actually started to just simply create content and actually focus on, creating content. My range widened. I mean, I got a call from Jersey one time where someone was like, "Hey, can you operate in Jersey?" And I was just like, I don't think so, but what do you need? So I'm looking at state laws, all this other stuff. I'm not just in there. And then I said, dang, I reached Jersey.
This can be bigger, way bigger.
I reached Jersey, and I was that might be that was small minded at the time, but that was literally just from posting. It was one reel.
Yeah,
and that at that time I didn't like it because I had to pay somebody to gather the content.
Yeah.
So whatever money that I was supposed to make that night, I paid, somebody to gather the content.
You reinvested it. Yeah.
Right. So at the time, I was thinking
In your mind,
I lost money.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So I lost money, but just from that alone, like I said, I was able to reach different audiences, and I was just like, man,
That's huge.
if I was doing this before,
yeah, and you can't go down the path of like, what if I did this? Because you just can't. You can't change it. At least you know it now, and the only thing you can do now is, okay, well, let's maybe implement this into our business.
Oh man, it's a huge part now. It's just like, hey man, shout out to Aesthetic Visions, that's my brother's company. Now, whenever I need content, it's just like whatever it is, I would rather hire my brother's company to get whatever it is that I need than hire my brother to work for me. Because sometimes he'll be like, "Oh, if you got a slot open, I'll work," and I just be like, "Nah, just get the content for me, get this for me or whatever." And it has become a big part of my process now, to where it's like, hey, every new hire, we need profile pictures of the new hire. Every event where there's 5 or more, we need, even if it's just 30 minutes of gathering whatever it is, so we can have it in a vote, so somebody can create. I mean, I'm a Canva specialist now.
You know, we were talking about that.
You know what I mean?
Shout out to Canva for this logo.
And what's that other app that you can CapCut? Yeah. So it's just, I started to educate myself on certain things like that, and it's a big part of the process. And like I said, that's one lesson to where I was just like, like I at the beginning I really did miss the ball, but it's just part of the process now.
And everything happens for a reason. It wasn't meant to happen that way, and we're here now. So where can, if I'm a young entrepreneur and I'm thinking of getting into the security business, what are like maybe 2 or 3 tips that you would give someone who wants to kind of get into this business or start their security journey?
Oh man,
what tips would you give them?
I'm always going to say start with education. Research as much as you can. Find somebody who's already in the field. See if they're willing to, educate you on whatever it is. But research. Make sure that you are in alliance with state, city laws, because there's a lot of people who just feels like, once you have a logo and like a name or something, then that constitutes as a company, and it really doesn't. Also, LLC is definitely important. Insurance is a big thing that a lot of people do not pay attention to. Insurance. My company is definitely, we're fully insured. You have to make sure that you have reputable insurance, because there's a lot of business insurance that they say that they're insured your business, but they don't really have insurance for damages or hospitals and stuff like that. So make sure you have really, really good insurance, and make sure you understand the difference between just having an LLC and actually being accredited through the state. I didn't have that information a long time ago. So I was operating under like, oh yeah, I have a business. I have a business. And Connecticut was just like, no, you don't. You have an LLC. And I was just like, oh, there's a difference. And invest in yourself. Do not be afraid to invest in yourself. That could hold you back.
Now, what does that look like when you say invest in yourself? Like,
oh man, so on a simple aspect, guard card classes, pistol permits, like all of these things cost finances, and a lot of people feel like they may be able to cut corners because there's a lot of clients who don't look for a guard card, or there's a lot of clients who don't care if you're permitted to do certain things. It's like, you need to care more than anybody else. You need to invest in yourself more than anybody else. So make sure you have all of the certifications that you need personally and that your company is going to need personally. You get all of that stuff out the way in the beginning, then everything else from that should be smooth sailing, as long as you're diligent in your path. But definitely, like with education and investing in yourself is really, really, really big. Really big.
Got it.
Education first, though. Education, definitely education.
The more you know. You are an habitual thinker, so I got to ask you, what's one habit that you're kind of consistent on that's kind of attributed to just any success you ever had, whether it's in entrepreneurial endeavors or anything in life. Give me a habit that you put into your routine.
Oh man, setting time frames for everything. Like everything for me personally, this might not work for anybody else, but I structure things time wise. Even the smallest habit that I have is um you give me an address that I need to be at. I put the address into the maps and I say, okay, it takes 30 minutes to get here. And I always do this around like midnight because
Mhm.
midnight, you can assume there's no traffic,
Yeah, yeah.
right? So I'll say, okay, if midnight, it takes me 30 minutes to get here, you add 10 minutes for
Mm.
traffic. So then I'll structure everything from there. If I got to be there at 9, I should leave at 8:15. So I have to be ready to leave by 8:15.
Mhm.
So I got to start getting ready at 7:15 because while I'm getting ready, I still got to be a dad and a husband. So, I'll be playing around with whatever. Okay, if I got to start getting ready at 7:15, I have to make sure my responsibilities are taken care of prior to 7:15. So
Love that.
I have to, so that's a habit. I do that with
Being prepared,
life
man.
in general. Yeah, definitely.
Preparation is everything.
Oh man, and you always give yourself like wiggle room for the
Unexpected.
intangibles. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Like, you
Those
could
are
be,
always gonna come.
man. Listen, as a father, they're gonna be there. As a husband, I mean, funny story, right? My wife has this habit. She don't start talking until I have one foot out the door.
Gotcha.
I account for that. I account for that now. So now I know I'm
You need
sitting-
anything? No.
Not even, bro. It literally just be like the most random conversation. So I'm getting my stuff on. You feel me? You see, I got my vest on. I'm grabbing the keys or whatever, and then she'll just be like, "Man, let me tell you what happened." I'm like, I'm at the door like this, and she'll be like, "Oh, do you know that she said this?" And I'll be like, "Word."
So you got to build in that.
Word.
10
Yeah, yo.
minutes.
So I'm telling you, I'm literally, door is open and she knows I have to be somewhere. She be like, "Man, it pissed me off so much." I be like, "Oh, babe, you got this. Yeah." And then another, I'm sitting there like, "You got to be joking. I know you see me ready to leave." So like, I count, you'll account for all of that, And
Gotcha.
sometimes, even with the schedule, when I used to work, I used to always have somebody on standby because my son had this thing where he would ask me, "Dad, do you really have to go to work?" Now, sometimes I could sit there and be like, "Yes, boom, leave."
Yeah.
But then there are those nights where that question hits and it's just
Yeah.
like, do I really have to work?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, nah, I don't got to work. So then, whoever is on standby, I just call them in or whatever. So
That's dope.
yeah, definitely preparation, man. Everything. Preparation.
Love that, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on, man. Appreciate the conversation, dropping some gems on us.
Appreciate you having me.
Can you just tell the people where they can find you if they need your services?
Oh,
just
man.
your website, your Instagram, all that.
So everything is Staqs Security. On Facebook is Staqs Security. On Instagram is Staqs Security. I do have a website, www.staqsecurity.com. We have applications up there if you want to actually get down with the team. You want to be a security guard. We guide you through the system from ground zero. So if you don't have a guard card, you don't got a pistol permit, you don't got nothing, we guide you through it. The company have a program to where we do pay for you to get these things as long as you're working for the company. So if you don't have it and you want it and you come work for us, we make sure that you get it prior to anything. That's something that I'm also proud of because I wasn't able to do that before, but now,
That's dope.
yeah, we could definitely do that. But again, www.staqsecurity.com. If you need to hire us, if you want to hire us, you could go up there. We have inquiry pages, and it tells you everything that we're about.
And even past, there's another question that's popped in my head. So like, and this is something that a lot of people deal with, like that want to become entrepreneurs, but also working. How has that dynamic been with like working a job and running a business? Like, was your job okay with that? Like, just give me a couple tidbits there.
Man, no, my job wasn't okay with it.
But do it anyway. I love that.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of things that you have to deal with during business hours, and I work during business hours. So you really have to be time oriented when it comes down to starting a company or running a company while you do have a job, because you don't want to take away from your job. You still have a job to do.
Yeah.
And I work in
That's
the
your
medical field, so
responsibility,
you
yeah.
still have a job to do. So I was literally just utilizing any breaks. So, I get 2 30-minute breaks and an hour lunch break
Yeah.
to where it's like, okay, I have an hour to do whatever it is that I need to do on my lunch break. So I would either go to the break room on my car and I'm typing up contracts or, calling people, whatever. Then I'll go back to work. And then
Yeah.
on my 30-minute break, I'm doing the same thing, typing up contract, calling people, hey, you need to do blah, 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 blah. And then I had a regiment where, like, right after work, I would dedicate an hour to homework and then an hour to the business, like right after work. And you have to just stay on it, because it's easy to sit there and say, oh, I just worked 8 10 hours, oh, I'm tired.
Yeah.
You feel me?
I
Unfortunately,
deserve some rest.
I deserve
I
some
love
rest.
if you would say that. I
Unfortunately,
deserve this.
no, that's not in the cards until, like I said, you get to a point to where your staff is basically firing you, and then
Yeah.
you get all the rest you want.
There you go. There you go. Well, you heard it first here, man. Appreciate you again.
I appreciate the opportunity, man. Appreciate
Check us
it.
out.
Thank you.
Check out Qiydaar. All the socials will be linked in the YouTube. Yeah. Until next time.